welcome to Something to Talk About. I'm Linda McNamee, and for the next hour, as you saw from our introduction, we're going to learn all about the importance of Eagle Scouts. But before you meet my wonderful Eagle Scout candidates, because they're not quite there yet, and we'll talk about that too, I would like to thank you for tuning in and also invite you to email me with a suggestion for a future topic, or if you have a question for anything BCAT, anything about my guests, you can always email me at talk@bcattv.org. I would like to thank the crew for this evening, and my children will be happy that I actually wrote their names down because I had a little senior moment last time. We have Evan and Gwyneth McNamee, who have given up their evening to come hang out with Mom while they're still talking to Mom, even though she forgot her name. We have Chris Flaherty, who is a staff member here, making sure that us volunteers do behave ourselves. Christina Nikitas and Lucian Gates have also given up their evening to come help with the show. So thank you all for tuning in, and used to say thank you to my husband Paul for staying home for daddy date night. However, the kids are here, so you're on your own. So, okay, housekeeping aside, I would like to introduce my wonderful guests. We have Aadi Aadi and Sanjith Krishnan.
Yeah.
Should have practiced that before. And both of you are you're currently Life Scouts, which is like soaring through the ranks, and you are really close to Eagle.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So thank you for joining me. What I'd like to know, and what I'd like the audience to learn, is what is important to you about being a Scout, what is important to you about being an Eagle Scout, and then talk about your project a little bit. So we all know, because you've worked so hard on it, want to make sure that the greater Burlington community can enjoy it. So start out a little bit, introductions, what grade you're in at school, and if you have any plans for after high school. Are you both rising seniors?
Yes. Yes, we're both rising seniors.
Thought about it. All right, who gets to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Just like Linda already introduced me, my name is Sanjith, and I am a rising senior, and my plan for after school is to go and major in mechanical engineering.
Oh,
go
cool.
to college, yeah.
I'm related to a bunch of mechanical engineers. Have you started looking at schools yet?
Not too much.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
Figure it out as I go, yeah.
Cool. And what made you want to get involved in mechanical engineering?
So I kind of owe that to the robotics team at our school. I joined my freshman year and kind of got into the mechanical engineering side of robotics, and I loved it.
Cool.
And I devoted a lot of time to it, and it's kind of what's really important to me.
So when is robotics season? Is that like a whole year thing, or is it wintertime, or? So
the season lasts from the beginning of January all the way to the beginning of April.
Okay.
So it's a fairly long season, and you also have an off season around that. It's usually used to develop your skills, become better, and get prepared for when the season starts, and you actually have to build your robot.
Oh, fun. So you got to get the Eagle project out of the way so you can focus on engineering.
Yep.
Got it. Okay, Aadi, your turn.
So I'm Aadi. I'm also a rising senior, and my plans for after high school is to go into college and major in data science, most likely.
Oh, is that like statistic type stuff?
Yeah, statistics,
okay.
math kind of thing, yeah.
And what do you want to do if and when you guys grow up?
We'll see.
Well, like after you major in data analysis, data statistics, what kind of job what kind of career would you want after that?
Well, I know personally I want to go straight again into robotics. As you guys may have seen around, there's a whole bunch of new robots that are coming, like the new Boston Dynamics robot, and they're all super cool. And I definitely want to kind of work with that and build onto these really cool robots that already exist and make them super cool, yeah.
Oh, super cool. Like, anyway, do you have any idea what you want to do? Like,
So I mean, data science is like very versatile. I mean, you can use it in a lot of different fields because data is used everywhere. I think what I wanted to do was maybe like transition into like a business kind of area.
Okay.
So like kind of working with stocks and like supply demand, stuff like that for companies.
Cool. Okay.
Because I like to work with numbers, and so that's kind of a job that I wanted to look into.
Excellent. I'm not going to call you back in 4 years and say, so you said, no, don't worry about that. When did you each join scouting? Were you Cub Scouts? Did you join later?
So I actually joined in 7th grade. So I was never as Cub Scout, and I actually joined a year late for Scouts.
Okay. What made you decide to join? Because usually by 7th grade, you already have like, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, so there's actually a requirement in scouting that has you invite one of your friends to a scout meeting. So one of my friends, Gio, actually, who was already a scout, invited me to a meeting. And I already had a love for hiking and kind of just being in the outdoors and doing all that outdoorsy stuff. And the first meeting I went to, I actually remember this, we were making campfires.
Oh,
and
cool. Pyromaniac, no.
And it was a super cool meeting, and I just remember it as like, I saw it and it's like, this is a super cool place where I get to do my outdoorsy stuff with another group of people, and fell in love with it.
So even after you started getting involved in scouting, do you still enjoy campfires and camping and hiking and all the outdoor stuff, or?
Definitely. In fact, I think I like it even more now. I love just going outside and hiking and doing all that stuff. A lot of fun.
I still can't figure out how to use a compass, so more power to you. How about you?
So my journey was a little bit different. I knew nothing about Scouts until like, I don't know, around, like 7th grade-ish. So I joined after COVID, the summer before freshman year.
Oh yeah, that wonderful thing called COVID.
Yes, so that happened and that kind of pushed it back, and so I joined.
And what made you want to become more involved? Was it a friend who introduced you, or was it just like, hey, we're coming out of COVID, I need to interact with like real humans, or?
So I think it was in, 7th grade, like my mom and I attended like a panel, some kind of panel, and there was a professor who spoke very highly about scouting, and his son, who was an Eagle Scout, he spoke a lot about like leadership and volunteering and like friendship. But 13-year-old me, I heard camping and adventure, so I was like, ooh, let's do that.
Fire building.
Right, exactly. So yeah, I think that kind of started, and then COVID came around, pushed it back a little bit, but then I joined in freshman year.
Okay.
And I think it's kind of fitting that I wanted to join because of the adventure, and my second experience in Boy Scouts was going to summer camp with the troop at Camp Yagug. My first ever experience doing anything like camping, like I've been on hikes and things like that, but I've never been like overnight camping in an environment that I had no clue what I was doing, and so it was a good first adventure, and that kind of got me hooked.
Cool. Yeah, like camping gear probably, it's a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
You're like, look at sleeping bags going, what am I doing? Did you have any, looked like you were?
No.
Oh, okay. So, what made you guys decide that you wanted to pursue Eagle? Because, from your stories, you did not have as much time as the more traditional approach for kids who join like 5th or 6th grade.
So actually the first 2 years, my 7th and 8th grade, a large part of it was shut down by COVID, and I cared a lot more about the hiking part, so I actually didn't do any requirements for the first 2 years of Scouts. But then after COVID ended, right, I kind of took a look at a lot of Scouts at that time were trying to get their Eagle, and I saw these, and I kind of saw the requirements in a different way, as like a challenge where I could show off the skills I've learned in Scouting, all of the skills, not just the outdoor skills, but also like the leadership skills and service and all that cool stuff. And then I kind of really wanted to climb the ladder and get to the Eagle Scout, which is like a really high honor.
It's like 1 in 1 in 4, no, is it 4% of all
Something like that.
scouts
Something like that, yeah.
actually make it to Eagle?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
No
good.
pressure.
And you know, it's a really hard thing to get. You got to put a lot of work in, and you really got to show your skills, all the skills that you've learned in scouting.
What
so.
was the most challenging requirement or challenging thing you had to do so far? You haven't done your paperwork for your Eagle project, so that doesn't count.
So, you know, not including the Eagle project.
Right. We'll talk about that in a minute.
I think one of the hardest requirements that I had to do was one of the cooking requirements, actually.
Okay.
There's a cooking requirement that has you plan to like create, plan, shop for, and do everything that involves the cooking of 4 meals on a trail.
Ooh.
On a hiking trail, right? So everything has to be portable, like you had to bring your trail stuff, everything, and it's just a huge challenge getting that all to fit in the pack, and obviously planning and making sure these meals are nutritional and fit enough for so many people. It's a big challenge. In
How many people did you have to feed?
I believe it's 4 people.
Okay.
something
You
like
can't
that.
exactly just, strap a refrigerator on.
Exactly, yeah.
Wow. What, do you remember any of those meals that you cooked or that you prepared?
I think my main meal was actually chili with sausage.
Okay.
I remember choosing it because it covered the 4 main nutritional groups, and also most of the ingredients of chili didn't actually spoil very easily.
Okay.
So
One pot, too.
yeah, and I love chili as well, so all worked out.
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to have to ask Aadi what his reason, what was the question? Why did you decide to pursue Eagle?
Yeah, I think similar to Sanjith, like I was very ambitious. Like I was in freshman year, and so I'm not getting not much time because a lot of kids have like 7, 8 years to do it.
Right.
And so I was just kind of ambitious.
Like 4.
Right. I saw it as a challenge. I remember seeing on the news like a 13, 14-year-old kid got Eagle Scout, and so I was like, why can't I do it in 3 years? And so I took it on as kind of a challenge as well.
I love it.
So.
What was the biggest challenge that you've faced other than the time limitation? Oh, come on, I just asked Sanjith.
Yeah, right. It's not necessarily a requirement. I remember it was a camp out last October, I think. No,
Okay.
the October before. It was Mass Jam, and so it's like a jamboree.
Oh, yeah.
Where
I
it's
have
like
PTSD from the one and only Mass Jam I went to,
right.
so yeah.
And it's
Okay.
like thousands of scouts from all over Massachusetts, and I think even like New Hampshire, Rhode Island, like neighboring states that came in. And so, I mean, it was kind of fun, actually. Like, I enjoyed it, and there's a lot of new people I met there. But the challenge was I had to do a cooking requirement. That was a challenge, and also I was the patrol leader. And so it was a very hectic time because I had to...
Patrol leader, don't lose any of your
Right.
scouts.
Yeah, because there was so many kids around, and like, I mean, like scouts, younger scouts like to wander off, and so I had to keep them in check.
Okay.
And it didn't help the fact that there was like a massive like storm, like.
Because it's hurricane season,
Right.
so why not?
And so that was a challenge, and like kind of keeping everything organized. And then on top of that, having to do the cooking requirement, I had to make, I think it was 3 meals, and so just kind of organizing that. And
Did
being
you have
like,
to like hike up the side of a mountain like Sanjith did?
no, nothing like that, but it was just hard, like keeping track of everything, like having it all in my head, and kind of allocating tasks to different people.
Okay.
So
Ooh, delegating. That's a
Yeah.
hard job.
so that was kind of like my first taste of like, I guess, leadership and scouting. So that was kind of hard,
Okay.
a hard transition.
Because I'm also thinking, with the leadership and delegating, you guys also have had to practice and refine time management skills. Because I know from other people that I've talked to, the robotics team takes up a huge chunk of time. So, Aadi, do you do other stuff other than scouting as well?
Yeah, so I do robotics as well.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I do sports, and I also do band, and so my year's very busy, and so yeah, I think I'm a very seasoned time manager.
Life skills.
Yeah,
I was yelling at my
doesn't
kids,
stop me
"Life
from
skills."
procrastinating on my homework, but I've had to have good time management skills, getting everything done for everything, and scouting it's just one of my priorities. There's a bunch of other things that I have to do, so managing all that and balancing it out has been a challenge, but I think I've gotten better at it over the years, and it's definitely a good skill to have going into the future.
Both earned your personal management?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because that is an Eagle requirement.
Yes, it is.
And that is also, okay, I'm not familiar with that one as much, but that's also about time management and all that kind of fun stuff as well.
Yeah. Well, I think in a way all of the merit badges kind of have a challenge in time management, because you could do each of the requirements linearly, like just do the first one and the second one and the third one, but that ends up taking so much more time than if you just kind of looked at all the requirements and grouped them and then kind of tried to do them side by side.
So like across merit badges, or?
Yeah, not just across the same merit badge.
Okay. That's
And also like rank advancement too is like finding campouts where you can do multiple things instead of just doing one.
How hard is that?
It takes some time, but I think in the end it saves more time than you use up trying to plan it out.
So like you both mentioned that you had cooking requirements at a campout, different campouts, but still that's kind of like that cross-referencing that you're talking about. Are the troop leaders, whether youth leaders or adults, open to helping you figure out a way to get more than one thing done on a campout?
100%. They're super helpful. Obviously, a lot of the youth leaders have been through and have done a lot of the requirements that I've done. And the adult leaders also, they know a lot about scouts and they know the requirements and how to get them done. And it helps so much with me, like for planning out requirements, planning out what I can do on certain trips, and really just, they're instrumental in me getting this far into my scouting journey.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, Sanjith wants to cook? Sure, I'll let you cook for me. Okay, maybe not. Out of all the merit badges, so in order to achieve Eagle Scout, is it 21 or 24?
I think 21.
21 merit badges, and several of those are like Eagle required.
Yeah.
And then some are whatever you feel like doing, more like optional or elective.
Right.
Why, let's take this in two sections. Why do you think there are Eagle required merit badges? And why do you think there are others to fill in the pieces?
I think the Eagle required ones are just like kind of like vital skills that like you need to have. So like emergency preparedness, first aid, personal management, knowing how to manage your time and money, things like that, which are like crucial to like kind of being being successful in the future and being safe in the future. Okay. Those are definitely vital. And then I think the other ones are kind of just like to have fun, to like kind of explore your interests. I know I did at summer camp, I did rifle shooting, shotgun shooting, and archery.
Oh, wow.
They're all like, again, like kind of sports, I guess.
Was that all like the same summer that you did that?
Yeah. So
wow. Okay.
that summer was really fun, and
Did you end up bruising your shoulder from like the camp?
No, it wasn't terrible. So yeah, I think those are kind of just meant for you, like have fun, explore your interests, and just not always have to do just like serious things like first aid. So.
But like camping is a required merit badge, and how often are you going to need camping in another 30 years?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really like, I think the camping is a big part of it, but I think it's not really about the camping. I think it's just like about the skills you kind of learn, like kind of like fending for yourself, being independent, being prepared, like packing the right things. So I think it's more like the general skills you learn and not really like the badge itself.
It's like how to pitch a tent. Yeah, I use that every day.
Yeah.
What about you? Why do you think that there are Eagle required as well as, I mean, do you have anything to add to what Aadi was saying? Or?
Yeah, I mean, just like Aadi was saying, I think like scouting, they kind of have a vision for what an Eagle Scout looks like, and then they kind of have all these merit badges that contribute to what an Eagle Scout is. So, you know, as you learn so much important things like personal management, personal finance, and there's a whole lot of other super useful merit badges, and they kind of all build step by step into.
Citizenship ones are pretty big.
And the citizenship ones, yeah, they kind of all build step by step into what an Eagle Scout really is.
And what do you think an Eagle Scout is?
Personally, I think an Eagle Scout is a scout, who showed that they can lead people in various different places, whether that's on a camp out or doing cooking or something like that. I think it's just about showing leadership and showing responsibility.
Just no trick questions. I'm just preparing you for your your Eagle Board of Review. So, their Eagle requirement or merit badge requirements. What was your favorite merit badge ever to earn so far?
Great question.
I liked the shooting merit badges, like rifle shooting, shotgun shooting, archery. I don't know. I think I liked archery the most, just because it was like shotgun shooting, like rifle shooting. There's like a pattern, like where you're shooting, like whatever. Archery is more kind of like challenging, I guess. Like you have to be more precise with how far you pull back and where you aim.
Okay.
So I think that was probably my favorite, just because it was like a little bit more challenging and less like repetitive.
Okay.
So.
Do you have a favorite one?
Well, I was gonna say, I don't know if it's my favorite one, but one of the ones I remember the most or I find most memorable, it's actually the Indian Lore Merit Badge. So it's a very niche merit badge. But I remember at summer camp, it was the last day of summer camp to turn our merit badge requirements in, and we had like 30 minutes of time left, and we had this one final requirement where we had to build like a teepee or some other Native American structure. And I think Aadi was actually in that group as well. But as a group of people, we built a big teepee structure in under 30 minutes, and we got the requirements signed off.
Wow.
And I don't know why, but I just remember that as one of the most memorable experiences from summer camp.
Were there any merit badges that you did earn and decide, oh no, never again? Whatever possessed me to earn that in the first place? Are there any of those? Like dentistry or nuclear physics or I don't know.
First year of summer camp when I was new to scouting, there was fingerprinting.
Okay.
And I know like a lot of people at camp and in the troop did it, and I didn't know why, so I just like followed them. Turns out it was like a 30-minute badge, and
and you're like, yeah, what's the point?
all we did was hear someone talk for like 20 minutes and then put our fingerprints on a piece of paper, and then that was it.
And then you walk around with, black ink on your hands.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't terrible. It was 30 minutes long, but I just like felt like it wasn't engaging, and I think I kind of just did it because I didn't know any better. So.
Needed the real estate on your sash or
right,
something.
Yeah.
Okay. There any ones that you're like, oh, no, don't need to pursue this anymore?
I don't really think I regret doing any of the merit badges, but one of them I remember was astronomy. And I was doing it at summer camp, but obviously we had to wait till it got dark in the summer. So we had the final part of it at like 10 p.m. and I remember being super tired that day. And it was 10 p.m. We had to walk all the way down in the dark to the big field across summer camp to look at stars. And I was just, I was not having it that day.
And
not a night person. Okay.
There were tons of bugs too, I remember. So
yeah.
It was pretty bad.
Nasty. Okay, so let's talk about your Eagle projects. And I'm going to let you, I know my questions had Sanjith go first, but I will let you guys figure it out. Or maybe we could go through it together. What made you, so an Eagle project, why do you have to earn an Eagle, or why do you have to complete an Eagle project? Or why do you think you need to complete an Eagle project?
So like I was saying before, an Eagle Scout is all about showing leadership, and there's no better way to show leadership by taking a project that benefits the community and building it from all the way from the ground down, taking something and just making it from scratch and having to lead a bunch of scouts to build it instead of you doing it yourself.
Okay.
So I think the Eagle project is kind of the pinnacle of what an Eagle Scout is, being able to take a project and lead others to finish it.
Cool. That was a really good answer. Do you have anything to add, or just should we go on to?
Scouts, like, they learn a lot of skills throughout their however many years they do scouting, and so I think you learn those skills, and like a tangible way to show that and kind of cap it all off is the Eagle project, because you show like your preparation skills, your time management skills, how you handle money, how you are in the outdoors, kind of your like building knowledge, like things like that. And so it's like a big kind of, so many different skills are tested and your patience is tested. So I think it's a good introduction to like what an Eagle Scout like is, and like what kind of people Eagle Scouts are, and also like a good introduction to like the real world and like being prepared for what's coming at you in the future.
Project management skills,
right,
and managing people, managing finances. Geez, you know, making a budget is like super hard. And you know, as you both were saying, it gives you meaning the two of you, the opportunity to demonstrate and test your skills, but you're also involving the younger scouts, so you're kind of a role model at the same time.
Yeah.
Do you think that's important?
I definitely think so. I mean, a large part of my scouting journey was inspired by scouts above me who did their Eagle project, and you know, I thought it was super cool, and I learned a lot from them about what being an Eagle Scout means. So I definitely think that now that I'm the oldest scout, I'm definitely trying to inspire all the younger scouts to kind of follow my footsteps and go for their Eagle Scout.
I love it. Role models. Okay, tell me about your projects. How did you come up with the idea? Was it the only idea, or did you have other ideas, and what made this one win out? And then kind of walk through the process to where you are now. That should probably take us the rest of the time.
So, I mean, my process kind of started first by finding an Eagle mentor.
Okay.
And so my Eagle mentor was very passionate about Fox Hill, and like kind of, he walks his dog there all the time. And so he was
the
passionate.
School itself or the property?
The property, like the woods area.
Okay.
And so, and I also went to Fox Hill as my elementary school. And so that was like my first kind of like area that I wanted to explore. And it actually started off like I was looking into projects in the Sawmill area.
Okay.
And so I was looking there, and then
that was also an Eagle project, the Sawmill Trail, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I saw there was like a lot of Eagle Scout projects there, and so I kind of shifted my focus to the other side, where the Fox Hill nature trails are. I think that kind of shows in my project because it connects the two sides: the Fox Hill side, the Fox Hill Trail side, and the Sawmill conservation side.
Oh, okay. So how did you? Because that connection did not exist before.
Right.
So what did you have to do to kind of blaze the trail to connect them?
Right. So I think the first step that I like ever took was doing a site survey.
Okay.
So me, my Eagle mentor, my mom walked through like all the series of trails, so like at Fox Hill and towards like the Wilmington side, and then on the Sawmill conservation side, and kind of like scoped out like what are the different ideas we could have, because it's always good to have a plan B, a plan C. So we had like 3 or 4 plans set out, sent it to our scoutmasters, and we decided to go with my first idea, which was again the connector trail. And so then the next step.
What time, you know, yes, I have the advantage where I observed your Eagle project this past week, but what time of year was that?
So this was...
What is like the timeline from concept to now?
Okay, so it's been a very long, winding path, no pun intended.
It's actually fitting, but okay.
Right. So it started in February, actually.
Okay.
So a while ago. So we were walking through. That was like in February when we were walking through, and then like closer to March, because it was snowy, and so we had to kind of see the area and like the parts that weren't actually trail yet, and so that's when we waited till March till like a little snow melted, and actually that ended up being a good time of year to go, because that was during the wet season where there's a bunch of mud, and like a big part of my project is building bridges to get across that mud.
Okay.
And so it was a good time of year to scope out like, okay, where would I potentially need to put these bridges?
Okay.
And so the first step there was kind of just finding our way through and like using the natural trails that like animals created to just try and make it to the other side.
Did you need like a topographical map to figure out, oh, okay.
Right, so yeah, my Eagle mentor used his topo app to figure that all out. And then after then the next step was a bunch of paperwork that was for my proposal. And so kind of figuring out, okay, what is my project about? Why am I doing it? And then how am I going to present it to like a council and like someone as part of the government? And so then that took a while. That took about.
So why did you, you said what was the purpose of doing this? So what was your purpose of doing it?
Right. So one reason was because at Fox Hill, there's the forest, and then pretty much like right next to it is the playground and like the fields and stuff. And so what people are doing was, because there's like the Fox Hill Nature Trails, which is kind of like a shorter area, and then the sawmill across the playground, and there was nothing to connect it. People were walking through the playground area and the school area, and so
it's like a safety thing?
Yeah, right. That was kind of a safety thing, and so that was one reason for making a connector trail, so that people didn't have to walk through the playground. And then another reason was because, again, my Eagle mentor was very passionate about the trails, and so just, I think, giving residents the chance to have such a wide-ranging series of trails by creating a connection between two different series of trails was a big part of it, and just like people's dogs could walk and like things like that. So
you had this idea, you came up with a proposal, sent it to council. Council's like, sure? Or did council say, eh?
So the first step was actually going to my Scoutmasters.
Okay.
And they liked the idea. They gave me a few bits of feedback, but overall, like they thought it was ready for council.
Okay.
So then I sent it to council, and council approved of it like right away. So that was great. And so the next step was just like starting the project. And so we cleared out, like we had to cut a bunch of like branches and like clear the leaves and things to create like a path.
Okay.
That was far enough from Fox Hill because there's going to be a construction there, and so they're kind of cutting into the forest area.
So you want to make sure that your project, your trail, stays a trail.
Right. And so like finding a path that doesn't run into like a bunch of water, like a big, I don't know, like mucky area, or like having a fallen tree in the middle of it. So we had to kind of wind around and figure that out. So that was the next part. That took, I think, around like 2-3 weeks. Just over like the weekends, having volunteers from my troop come in and help me with that. So then the next step was, this is kind of a busy time of year for school, and so I kind of took a little bit of a break. And also my Eagle mentor was busy with, I think, Family Matters or something like that. So then come May, I had to start planning for the next phase of my project, which was building bridges. And so that took about like 2-3 weeks, and then I started fundraising and kind of giving my project some like publicity. And then there came a problem where I didn't fully, so my beneficiary was, or the person that was sponsoring my project was Burlington Public Schools, because it was on Fox Hill land. But it was the land that we were doing, it was wetland, and so when I started my project, I didn't know, I had to go through the conservation department and do some paperwork there.
How'd you find out?
I think it was probably because my project gained publicity from like putting it on Facebook, things like that. And so then I had to kind of stop in my tracks and basically, give...
regroup.
Yeah.
Were they okay with your project, or did you have to like...
Right, so we had to kind of convince them. So because I had already started working on the wetland, I had to kind of convince them, like, okay, why does my project not interfere with the wetland, or like why does it benefit the wetland? And so I had to kind of come up with a game plan of like, okay, if they ask this, then you say this. And like, so my project does benefit the wetland, because if you're gonna have people trampling on the ground where there's like wetland and stuff, like it just gets mushier and mushier. And so having bridges there, right, having bridges there would protect that. And so
how did you come up with your design of a bridge?
So my Eagle mentor had worked with Scouts in the past that had done Eagle projects where they also built bridges at the Sawmill Conservation, and so they're similar. similar designs, and so I kind of just adapted off of that. So that's kind of how the bridge design came about. And so then I had to wait for the meeting with the conservation department. I met with them at the town hall and kind of gave them like what my project is about, like kind of giving them my proposal that I made so long ago in words and saying, okay, why is my project beneficial? Why should I be able to do this? And so that got approved June 27th, so pretty recently. And so then right after that, it was kind of a short turnaround time where I had to like buy out, because I had to stop my project to kind of focus on that. So then the next like week, I was going to places to buy materials and wood and cinder blocks and things like that, and calculating, okay, how much of this material do I need? And so that was like a whole really busy week. And then finally, last weekend, I was able to get the materials to the site and then kind of distribute them along where on the trail the bridges would be. And now this weekend coming up, or well, depends on when this airs, but
yeah, this isn't going to air until after it's done, but people can go enjoy it.
Right.
So what are your plans for this weekend?
So the plans for this weekend are building the bridges. So that's kind of like almost the last phase of my project.
Okay.
Then I have to kind of show the map of my trail and where the bridges are, and then update the map signs and at the trailheads that are already existing, and post signs in. And then the final last step is all the paperwork and the procedures to get it approved, things like that. So.
Now, there are trail markers there, the little orange arrows. Are those yours? Or?
Yeah. So,
right,
I forgot to mention this, but when we were cutting the trail, the last part of that was putting those markers in so people know where they're going. So we installed those on one of the days. Can
you just like purchase trail markers, or did you have to like special order them? Or?
We just got like a 80 pack off of Amazon.
Oh, okay. Who knew?
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's kind of like what the timeline has been like for my project.
And when you're done, you mentioned updating the trails, and how are you going to tell people that it is available, and who are the people you're going to tell?
So I mean, a lot of people already use those trails.
Okay.
And people have actually already started using the trail that I created.
Okay. Cool.
There's a bunch of like dog walkers in the area. There's a bikers association, and so I know my mom has already connected with one of like the leaders of the bikers association to kind of tell them about that. It'll also go on like the town website, the map and the new trails, and so that'll be another way to kind of publicize it a little bit. So.
And I know on the sawmill side, there's a trail map like right at the entrance. Are there plans either with your project or another scout down the road who might put like a trail map sign at those
So I mean,
entrances?
Right. Another, like one of my friends in the troop is going to work on his Eagle project soon. So, and he has the same Eagle mentor as me. And so I think part of his project is going to be updating those signs at the sawmill area, because that's where his project's going to be.
Oh, okay, cool. So just have like matching signs all throughout the property.
Right, and that also gets us, if you order the signs in bulk, you might get a discount, so.
Yeah, but I'm thinking you probably don't need like bulk signs. You don't need like 100, or do you?
We don't need 100, but I think like even like 5 or 10
okay, that's
is
like
enough to get some kind of discount. So
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, Sanjith.
Yeah.
We'll come back to you.
Okay.
Probably. But it sounds. What is your timeline for wrapping everything up before school starts, or are you kind of going to be finished? Well, the work you're anticipating being done this coming weekend. But after that, it's like just kind of wrap it up throughout the course of the summer, so you can focus on senior year.
So I think most of the work for my project will be done by the end of this month, and I think between then, like kind of waiting for approvals and things from like my mentor and like other the conservation department, I'll be working on my final kind of project plan of like, okay, here's the entire timeline of what I did and all the budgets and things like that. And I've been updating that as I've went along and just kind of finalizing that, wrapping it up. hopefully by the end of this month, and then sending it off to council and just waiting, and then kind of finishing up those last little things throughout the summer, but mostly kind of getting into senior year, focusing on college applications, summer work, things like that. So.
And your 18th birthday is?
In December. So
December.
I have a good amount of time. So it's just like kind of getting it done before senior year.
Cool. Excellent. And we'll ask other questions later. Sanjith, how did you come up with your idea? Because it's very different.
Yeah, I mean, it's a completely different project than what Aadi's doing. So for context, my project, I'm creating 3 mini libraries, also known as little free libraries, and placing them in parks around Burlington.
Oh, okay.
So I actually got the idea, so I was playing tennis with some of my friends, and right next to the tennis court, there's actually a little free library right there. And I saw some kids actually using it by the field. And you know, at that point I was brainstorming different ideas, and I thought this would be a super cool thing that I could do and put them in different parks and different corners of Burlington, so more kids can get into reading and have more access to books. Especially, obviously, children can't just drive to the library and get books whenever they want. So by kind of having these books in walking distance, or whenever they go to the park, they'll get more interested in reading.
So, is it like kids' books that you're going to be focusing on, or?
Yeah, so the plan is to mainly put children's books or kids' books in there, because this project's mainly targeted towards kids who, again, can't really just go to the library whenever they want to get books themselves.
Yeah, I know I'm going out of order, but where are the books coming from?
So the books are actually coming from a lot of my friends. You know, a lot of people have got children's books, but then when their children grew up, right, they just have a lot of books remaining. Yeah,
you guys probably don't have much use for board books anymore.
Yeah. Right. So, you know, there's a large surplus of books. But I am very grateful to everybody who's donated me books and other materials and money as well.
Now, with little free libraries, and I totally don't know this, do people bring them back to the same library where they borrowed them, or do they potentially drop them off at a different library, or do they just keep them, or any combination thereof?
So, you know, one of the mottos of Little Free Library is take one, leave one. Okay. So that means that, you know, if you take a book, then you're supposed to leave, you can either leave another book there in its place, or you can bring that same book you got back to the library. And it's kind of working on an honor system. Okay. But obviously, sometimes people don't bring books back, and to make sure that, you know, these libraries don't run out of books, I have like a large thing of books, and, you know, every few months or years so, I can go back and make sure that they're stocked up. But I don't see any problems with you know, not having enough books. Cool.
So now that we have the books, what about the libraries, the little free libraries? How did you determine which parks, and did you have any partnerships with any, you know, like Aadi had to go to the Conservation Commission and the school committees, you know, Fox Hill people. Who did you find yourself working with?
Right, so the locations, the biggest thing is I want them to be in parks, and I want them to be in different places around Burlington, so you can reach the most amount of people as possible. And what I found out is that the Burlington Rec Department owns many of the parks in Burlington. So I kind of want to pick 3 parks that they had that weren't already near an existing Little Free Library. So I settled on Rahanis Park, Veterans Park, and Wildwood Park.
Oh, okay.
And they're all under the rec department, so that's the first those are the first people I reached out to get permission for all of this. And when I came up with my project idea, I had to present to the rec department about this project, you know, why would it benefit the kids and why they should let me do this on their land. And they were they're all for it. They're really encouraging, so I'd like to thank the rec department so much.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they're great. I've been working with them on other projects too.
They're amazing, and they've given me so much support.
Cool. Why 3?
So
Is that just budgetary, time constraints, book constraints? I'm just curious, really.
So I guess looking at like the amount of parks that were there, so a lot of parks in Burlington, they aren't owned by the rec department, and there's been a lot to go to different places and ask for permission.
Okay.
And then some parks are very close to each other. So I kind of found that these 3 parks worked, and once you added more, it started becoming like I had to reach out to other completely new places and go through their whole system. So this
and now another candidate
really
for Eagle Scout can expand and talk to all those other people.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. And I think you and I may have talked long before when you first mentioned that you were thinking about the little free libraries. You have to register them? Or is it, what's that process like?
Yeah, so if you go to the Little Free Library website, you'll see a big register a library button. So when you create a Little Free Library, to register it to the nonprofit to make it official, you have to get their registry charter signed and put it on there. And the main reason you do this is they have this giant map and like this giant Facebook group. And you kind of get access to that, so you get to put your Little Free Libraries on this big map.
So other people
can find them. You know, it's a great way to reach out to the community and tell them that these things are here, they exist, you should go and use it, right?
Cool.
And it really helps expand the impact they have on the community.
When you register that Little Free Library, do you also have to tell them what types of books? Like yours are focusing on kids' books and students.
No, they don't really ask any questions about that. But yeah, my books, they don't really follow a specific genre, which I have seen other Little Free Libraries do it, in fact. I kind of wanted them to be open to as many people as possible, and that meant keeping, you know, all the genres possible in there.
How'd you come up with your design to house the books? Because you want to make sure it doesn't leak, because wet, soggy books are not real helpful.
So I love 3D modeling and design. Which is another reason that I really wanted to do this project, because it gave me an opportunity to use those skills. So I started with like a very basic house-like design for these libraries. But then as it went on, I kind of kept evolving it. I reached out to people that I know who's worked with, you know, who's done woodworking before and worked with outdoor stuff. And I kind of went through several different versions of the same Little Free Library design. And then my second priority, even more than making sure they would be safe outside, was making sure that these could actually be created. Because you know, you can come up with any design you want, but it has to be
practicality of it.
Exactly. It has to be possible to be created, and more importantly, by mainly younger scouts, because they're the ones who are going to be mainly making these. So I wanted to make this design as simple as possible, and of course as weatherproof as possible, to make sure they last for a while and they're actually able to be built.
Cool. Materials. How did each of you determine what materials to use and then how to acquire them? Because I'm just using my imagination here. I'm thinking, okay, if you made like a little house-like thing, might be able to find a contractor with a few extra shingles, so you wouldn't have to go out and buy a whole bunch of like roofing shingles or something. But how did you determine your blueprint, your plan?
I think at the beginning of my project, for the proposal, you had to kind of make an estimate of like, okay, how much costs are you going to need? And it's funny seeing how drastically that plan has changed, because I started with like needing, I don't know, maybe like $400 of budgeting, and now it's skyrocketed to like something like $800 for all the materials. And so it's like,
because you were looking at pre-pandemic prices for wood. No. Well, it has gone up a lot, but
yeah, it's just kind of like the scope of my project has changed so much, and kind of I've had to adapt and start building new things, like more bridges. That was one of the things, and so.
Because I'm thinking, you know, the wetlands, it's like, well, you think it's only this, but then, oh, wait, in springtime it's, Yeah,
so that has definitely been a big part of it, and finding materials. And then, kind of using like different design and models to see how many materials I need for each bridge segment, things like that. And then even after that, I had to, I think just last month, kind of redesign my bridges again and make sure I had all the materials straight. A lot of math went into that, like seeing how many cinder blocks I need for each bridge, and like if I have 2 segments combined, okay, I need 2 less cinder blocks. So it was like a bunch of math and going back and forth and seeing which places have cheaper materials, which places are. So like I went and like kind of solicited donations or like discounts from Home Depot, Lowe's, O'Connor's, things like that, and so seeing which places were giving me the best value.
So practicing that whole line about being thrifty. So.
Right, exactly. So that was a big part of it. And yeah, I think just a lot of external costs too, like pizza and the map signs and things like that. So a lot of planning and a lot of adapting.
Yeah. So materials were a big challenge for me as well.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of different types of wood out there, and I had to choose not only which one works best for my project, but also which one that I could buy with a reasonable budget.
Okay.
So a large part of that was just reaching out to people I know and mentors that I had about what are the best materials to buy. You know, people who've already done this stuff, because I haven't personally put wood out, haven't done any wood projects that I put outdoors.
Did like the little free library people help you?
That too, yeah. They had a big website with a whole bunch of different designs and how people did this stuff and how they made sure it's weatherproof. So based off that, I decided on a bunch of different materials that I would need, like paint and wood. And
I'm thinking even like plexiglass.
And plexiglass for the door. And
because you probably don't want to use real glass.
Yeah. You know, there's just so much more that goes into it than like a lot of people see, and definitely choosing the materials were one of those.
And you were able to get everything you needed?
Yep. So.
Yeah, what is your timeline? I asked Aadi, when he's going to finish, but are your libraries available?
So my libraries are actually available right now, and again in Rohannes Park, Veterans Park, and Wildwood, so you can go out there and find them. You'll see them. They're pretty hard to miss.
They're painted neon green. No, hopefully not.
Yeah, so they're out there, and anybody who wants can use them.
And were you? How did you do your fundraising? Was it, donations, GoFundMe? Did you have a bake sale, or and how did you determine, like? Aadi, you had mentioned that your initial budget to your actual budget were very different.
Right.
So how did you make up that financial difference as well?
Yeah, so I came into it because my Eagle mentor's last Eagle candidate and now Eagle Scout had a lot of his like wood and things for his bridges donated. So I came into it thinking, okay, I'll probably get most of my things from like Home Depot, Lowe's, and then like come to like when I was actually shopping for them, asking for donations, I got unfortunate because a lot of places that had originally like given donations out pretty generously had come to like the end of their budget for like donating these things. So
we reached our quota.
Right.
Sorry. Oh.
So a lot of those places didn't have those, and thankfully I went early enough where I could set up a GoFundMe page with the right budget, with like my new kind of materials I needed, and the community, the Burlington community, was very generous. I raised over like $750, close to $800.
Excellent.
So pretty much covers my costs. So
cool. How are you going to make up the difference? Bank of Dad.
Yeah, so I think I might end up being a little short, and so I know my one of the past Eagle Scouts, I think my Eagle mentor's son, like kind of got reimbursed by his beneficiary, his sponsor for the project. So we'll see if my beneficiary will do that. Otherwise, probably my parents will just make it up. Yeah.
Take it out of my college tuition.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So.
So, I mean, in terms of my fundraising side, so the first thing was determining how much I needed. And again, going back to that 3D model I created.
Were they all the same model?
They were all the same model. But going back again to that 3D model I created, so just by clicking over the model, it'll tell you exactly how much wood you need,
okay.
and how much paint you'll need, and everything like that. So it gave me a very good idea of what I needed, and I just cross-referenced the prices at Home Depot and Lowe's,
Okay.
obviously accounting for the hardware, the screws, and then paint, just very expensive for some reason.
Yeah, I would not have thought that.
Yeah, and just accounting for all of that. And I actually did a GoFundMe as well.
Okay.
And my project raised $560 for these 3 libraries. And I actually hit the budget spot on, just a few dollars over. And I was really happy about that. Of course, like the model really helped me get there, really helped me pinpoint that number. So for me, the fundraising process went great.
I love it. So anything you want to add about your projects that we haven't discussed?
No, I think.
Okay, because my next question is kind of like theoretical, philosophical, I'm not really sure. What would you tell or what would you say to one of the younger scouts who just joined the troop? Should they earn their eagle?
I think yes, for sure. Because I know, like, looking back, like maybe 7 months, 6-7 months ago when I started the project, I'm like a much more, I think, mature person than I was before, and I've kind of learned how to deal with like real world problems that I didn't know about before starting my Eagle project. So I think a lot of the skills that you learn in Scouts were tested in the Eagle project, but you also learn a lot of new skills from the Eagle project just by getting kind of like the real world experience of like what do all these skills look like applied in real life. And so that is definitely one of the a good thing about Eagle Scouts, becoming an Eagle Scout. And I think just like Boy Scouts in general, like, is really beneficial in my life. Like, so many of the skills that I have now and like part of who I am as a person is because of Boy Scouts and kind of pursuing the like challenge that I set for myself like 3 or 4 years ago. So
I would say just go for it, no matter where you are on your scouting journey or how old or how late you start. Just go for it because it has helped me so much. I've learned so many skills, whether in time management or things like that. And I think it's just a great experience for literally anybody, even if you're not in scouting. Just join Scouts and go for your Eagle because it's just so helpful to you.
I love it. Well, thank you guys both. I didn't even look at my questions at all, so hopefully we answered most of them. But thank you so much for giving up your evening to come and share your stories with me. And thank you for helping the Burlington community better itself with your projects. I can't wait to see them completed. I know yours are completed. I just have to get over there. But thank you.
thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting us.
And I also want to thank everyone at home for tuning in this evening. And I hope that you decide to get out and about in Burlington and check out some of the amazing projects that both Sanjith and Aadi have completed, as well as some of their predecessors who are also Scouts as well. So thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you around town. Good night.